This might be one of the most addictive things you can wrap in rice paper. Sweet, smoky, bouncy, packed with herbs and crunch. Honestly, once you start eating Nem Nướng, it's kind of hard to stop.
Really good. Really, really good. So before filming this video, I actually went down a tiny bit of a rabbit hole. Growing up, I saw a lot of Vietnamese households use curing powder to make Nem Nướng, and that's the method I went with for a really long time too. But every once in a while, I'd want to make this and I find myself without the powder. So I kept wondering, could I recreate that same texture the old school way, just using technique, really cold meat, and some pantry staples? So I tried it. And honestly, it was good. It got surprisingly close, but it also took me a few iterations. So after testing both, I still think the curing powder is going to give the most reliable and consistent result. And if you're only going to be making this once in a while, I want you to be able to get it right on your very first try. Let's get into it. Nem Nướng is Vietnamese grilled sausages made with pork. So today we're not going to need too many ingredients. We're just going to be needing some ground pork. And for this, you're going to want to use at least an 80-20 blend because you need a little bit of fat to help create that nice juicy texture. A lot of traditional Vietnamese recipes actually add even more fat, but we don't need to do that, okay? We're still going to watch our waistline. So the first thing we're going to want to do is marinate our ground pork. I have about 5 pounds of ground pork here, and I'm only gonna be using half a package of this curing powder, okay? And even though their instructions say that it's good for 1.5 kilograms of meat, which is a little bit over 3.5 pounds, I found that that was way too sweet and salty for the Vietnamese taste profile. So to get that really classic Nem Nướng flavor, add some minced shallots, garlic, lemongrass, and let's use half a package of Nem Nướng curing powder. We're also going to add about 1/4 cup of fish sauce to bring back some of the salt and umami. Add 1 tablespoon of 5 spice as well. So like I mentioned, this curing powder is what's going to give your Nem Nướng that foolproof, bouncy texture and beautiful, vibrant color. But if you can't get a hold of this, or if you'd rather skip it, I'm going to link my pantry staples version, which relies on baking powder to give that texture, below. So I'm just going to roughly mix everything together by hand first before moving it over to the stand mixer. I'm gonna let it go for around like 10-15 minutes. And as you mix, you'll notice the meat starting to look really sticky and tacky, just like this. This is exactly what you want. You see how like all the meat pieces are no longer together? It's almost like paste-like at this point. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer or a food processor, you can absolutely still do this by hand. It's just gonna take a little bit more elbow grease and a little bit more of an arm workout. So expect to do it for around 20 minutes. Okay, I'm all done mixing and I've transferred everything into this bowl. So you're gonna wanna let this marinate for at least a few hours before you cook it because that's gonna let the flavors really build. It's that really unmistakable Vietnamese barbecue flavor. If you know, you know. I can just tell that once this hits the heat, it's gonna grill up so nicely and it's gonna caramelize like perfection. So as you can see, now that the meat's in this paste form, it's so sticky and it's actually really hard to work with. We need to form these into some edible shapes. So in the past, what I used to do is put on my gloves and just sit there for like an hour and a half and roll them into logs or roll them into like small meatballs. But my hands would get all like sticky and I wouldn't be able to touch anything for like an hour, and it was just a really messy process. So I want to show you another hack instead. I went to eat this dish when I was in Trang, Vietnam, and as I was waiting for my food to come, I was completely mesmerized watching the shopkeeper sitting there and forming these Nem Nướng, and this is what she was doing, and it was the most ingenious thing. So you're going to take a Ziploc bag, okay? And you're going to cut the 2 sides so that it opens up like this. You're gonna take some oil and just brush it on the inside of this bag so you know things don't stick together. Get a spoon, or I'm using an ice cream scooper just to keep things consistent. I'm going to scoop 2 scoops of this towards the center. So once that's in, just fold this over, pull down the bottom part of the bag, okay? So you want this top part to be free so it can move. And using something with a straight edge like this, you wanna push against the blob of meat on the bag and just push it away from you like this. And look, just like that, it creates this nice, even tubular form. And it's so even, it's not messy, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. That process was so satisfying. I swear you're gonna wanna try this recipe just to try to do that. And if you're a little bit neurotic like me, you find a lot of joy in just simple things like this, okay? So something to keep in mind is that they do shrink a little bit once you cook them. So when you're forming them, just make them a little bit bigger or longer than you'd expect. So now that our nem nướng are all formed, we're ready to grill them. Traditionally, nem nướng is grilled over charcoal in Vietnam, which gives it that wonderful smoky flavor and beautiful caramelized finish. But honestly, most of us are not firing up the grill on a Tuesday night, okay? Which is why we're gonna be air frying them. And I'm gonna use my new favorite air fryer, the Typhur 2, to do just that. So before Typhur even reached out to me, I actually saw my favorite Canadian chef, Suser Lee, using it in one of his videos. So I got curious and looked it up myself. And honestly, the first thing I noticed was how massive this basket is. I mean, look at this thing compared to my old air fryer. I can probably fit an entire batch of nem nướng in here without overcrowding it, which you guys know is the enemy to good browning. The Typhur 2 has heating elements on both the top and the bottom, which means that everything's gonna cook much more evenly, and I'm not gonna have to come back here and flip it to make sure that everything is cooked through. And not only that, it's gonna cook everything about 30% faster, which means that all my nem nướng are gonna be done in 10 minutes. There's 15 different cooking functions, so I've been using it for everything lately. From my crispy pork belly to my homemade sassiu, it's been amazing. Actually, another thing I didn't expect to love so much about this is how quiet it is. My old air fryer was so loud that I actually couldn't even use it when I was filming, and that really slowed me down. This thing is surprisingly quiet. I don't even notice it when it's on, so it's been really amazing to integrate into my workflow. They're gonna be running a Memorial Day sale soon, so if you're in the market for a new air fryer, I'll have my link and discount code below for an extra 10% off. So now let's get our nem nướng started. So because I'm using 5 pounds of ground pork, it's actually gonna make a lot of sausages, okay? So what you can do is you can freeze these, and these cook up so beautifully on a busy night. They are great with rice, on vermicelli bowls, or even in a banh mi. This honestly is the perfect thing to have in your freezer. I actually want to show you guys something funny too. So before I learned how to make these, we used to buy them from this Vietnamese caterer that's in the city, and she used to sell them like this, okay? And I think she did this for storage purposes for herself because it's easy to kind of stack up, but it was actually a really good cooking hack because we would buy these for barbecues, and what we would do is we just kind of rip the bag open, throw this entire sheet onto the grill. And it was great because you can flip them really easily, and in terms of serving, you can just get a knife and cut them down into strips as well. So it was just perfect. My friends and I used to call this meat sheets, and we used to always joke to ourselves that honestly they should sell this in Costco or something. So patent pending on that, okay? I'm still coming back for that. Don't steal it from me. Okay, it's all done. Let's check it out. Wow, look at that. The nem nướng is like really nice and caramelized on the outside, and it's cooked so evenly too. And I'm gonna be plating this onto my serving platter here. Okay, now that we have our nem nướng plated on this beautiful platter, I've got some accoutrements to go with it. So I'm gonna be serving it with some bánh hỏi, a little bit of herbs, including mint, perilla, some bean sprouts, pickled carrots and daikon, cucumber. Use whatever you have, okay? You just want a little bit of freshness to contrast with that rich meat. And making a special appearance are these crispy thingies. They are rolled up spring roll wrappers. I have this in Vietnam, and I thought it just provided such good textural contrast to everything going on. So it's a really, really great addition. So let's top the nem nướng with some scallion oil, which is gonna really keep it moist and juicy. And I like a little bit of peanuts for crunch too. Okay, there we have it. The most beautiful platter you've ever seen.
Nem nướng is amazing because you can eat it in so many different ways. But for me, this is the best way to eat it, wrapped in rice paper with a ton of fresh herbs, pickled vegetables, and dipping sauce. So let me show you how I like to roll mine. And while you'll find versions of nem nướng all across Vietnam, the dish is most famously associated with Nha Trang, a coastal city in central Vietnam known for its seafood, grilled food, and these smoky pork skewers served with fresh herbs and rice paper wraps. What I love most about Vietnamese food is how interactive everything is. Everyone kind of builds their wrap their own way. More herbs, less noodles, extra sauce, whatever you like. And with nem nướng, the contrast is what makes it so good. You get smoky, grilled pork, crisp lettuce, bright herbs, crunchy vegetables, soft rice paper, all in one bite. And honestly, it's probably one of the reasons Vietnamese food is so loved. Even when the flavors are rich, savory, and bold, everything still feels fresh, balanced, and light. This looks amazing. I can't believe this cooked up in the air fryer in like 10 minutes. It's incredible.
Can't wait to dig into all the fresh herbs and vegetables here. Let's give it a taste. It's such a balanced bite. This dipping sauce is really interesting too. Some restaurants serve the peanut sauce, but this one is more savory than it is sweet. And it has like a slight rich taste from the liver and the crab paste. Really good. Really, really good. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you saw how easy this was to make at home. So I'll see you guys next week, and remember to subscribe for more easy peasy but legit Vietnamese recipes. Bye!